Free RPG Day hit last Saturday, and I wasn't really in the area to take advantage of the local RPG community, but I am in North Carolina right now at the moment, and actually I'm in South Carolina, just on the border of North and South Carolina, and I got to visit a shop, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what RPG Day was for them at that shop. We've got Tony V on the show from Black Moon Games, who used to do Free RPG Day, and we're going to talk a little bit about how his shop experience is with Free RPG Day, and we're just going to kind of go over like what maybe we can do as a community or as store owners or people that are involved in the RPG industry hobby to make Free RPG Day a bigger deal for a lot of these stores and communities that really want to support indie RPGs. So stick around. We're going to talk a little bit about Free RPG Day and how to make it a bigger deal. Hey everyone, welcome to Victory Condition Gaming. My name is Doug. Today on the show, we're going to be talking about Free RPG 2020 and how to make it kind of a bigger deal for folks and for this industry, because I feel like Free RPG Day was created mostly in part because of Free Comic Book Day, which is a huge success for that industry and for that hobby, and it doesn't seem to have that same kind of status for the tabletop RPG market. We're going to talk about that. I've got our three wonderful co-hosts with me. Ben Higgins from Quarterstaff Games.
Oh my God, I missed you all so much. It's been a month.
Been a couple weeks. Been traveling. We got some news coming up regarding the show and everything, but I'll make a little more announcement coming up a little bit later, so stay tuned for that. Also, we've got our Geek of the North, the one and only Jason Hunt.
You remember us? We missed you guys.
We did. And of course, joining us tonight, our celebrity guest co-host. You know him from Getting Colorful with Tony V. Well, you know his hands from Getting Colorful with Tony V. You don't know the face, but the one and only Tony V from Black Moon Games.
Hello.
Tony, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Excited to have you on. Before we begin too much into the talk about Free RPG Day, if you enjoy these weekly sessions, which we try to do every Monday night, unfortunately we haven't been able to do the last couple of weeks, but we appreciate everybody that has been sticking around and join us anyway. Make sure to hit that like button down below, and if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. That always helps. We love having you as part of our VCG community. We just love to make all sorts of tabletop content and get the community together, talk about various things and topics that we are currently taking place, or maybe just things that might be popping up later on. And if there's a topic that you'd like us to talk about, let us know in the comments. We'd be glad to add it to our show. All right. Guys, thanks so much for joining me tonight. Free RPG Day. Tony, you used to do Free RPG Day at your store.
Yeah.
Don't do it anymore.
Correct.
How long has it been since you've done Free RPG Day at your store?
It's hard to keep track of the timeline, but I want to say 4 years, probably. I don't believe we did it in 2019. I know we didn't do it for the pandemic, obviously. It's possible we did it in 2018, but I honestly can't remember. But I know Rutland was open from 2016 to 2019, and we did it there at least once or twice. So sure. I want to say 4 years. Yeah.
I remember coming down for one session or one day, and we ran Kids on Bikes. That was the first. Yep. That was the year that they had free Kids on Bikes, starter booklet in their kit. Ben, you had Free RPG Day at your store last year, if I'm not mistaken.
We did it the previous 2 years.
Years.
Basically, since the new kind of iteration of Free RPG Day, we did it. We did not opt to do it this year in 2022 due to a few various logistical reasons, but
sure.
But yeah, it's definitely something we're keeping on the radar for next year.
Yeah, excellent. Jason, you get to partake in Free RPG Day at all, or did you work all day?
I was working all weekend. The closest local store to me did actually have the package, and
Okay.
it sold well for them. I
Nice.
got in touch with them, and they said it sold well. The issue they had was a lot of people just came in, grabbed the package, and left,
Yeah,
which kind of
it,
a 4-letter word move if you do that. Honestly,
that's kind of a that's kind of a thing that happens. I know Tony, you do this. Before we talk about the motives of why to do free RPG or why not to do free RPG day. Let's just talk about what was offered this year. I feel like this year, as much as I love free RPG day, I feel like this year's offerings were a little bit less than what they've provided in the past. I don't know if the price, and there's probably a few reasons for that, just because of the production and printing capabilities of everything going on right now. Like there's a lot of paper shortages and everything, and I just feel like there was a lot of products that were just either not as substantial as they usually are, and not as many as offered as they usually are. Let's talk a little bit about it. I'm going to share the screen. We're going to go. If you want to learn more about Free RPG Day, you can go to freerpgday.com and learn more about that. They usually have more information as they make more announcements as next year. One thing that I will tell you is that last Saturday was Free RPG Day for the North America. July 23rd is the worldwide Free RPG Day. So because of delays in shipping, of course, we all know that there's shipping issues all over the world, that they've decided that they were going to do a North American Free RPG Day and then a worldwide Free RPG Day on July 23rd, which is a month later. Which
you still have time, Rodrigo.
Yeah, I mean, part of me feels bad that not everybody can participate it all at once. I understand why they do it, but like,
not everyone lives in the United States.
Yeah.
So this is one of those things that I think that we need to be more flexible in regards to these things. I don't understand why, with only a month delay, they couldn't have just delayed the North American release.
Yeah, that's kind of why. Yeah,
get the kits out to the stores just like you would normally. If a store has to sit on a kit, like once it's all boxed up, it's not a very big box. It can be stashed under a desk for roughly the 30 days that you would need it to get everything else worldwide, and then you can have a little bit of a bigger pop, a bigger messaging in the world. There was nothing exclusive to North America that I'm aware of.
No.
Or exclusive to outside North America that would facilitate the need for its own separate day, other than the fact of just global logistical issues with shipping and getting things out there. So just delay the North American one until everyone can have their product.
That kind of feels like that should have been the right move. Maybe there was other reasons for why they didn't do it that way, but it feels like that they should have done that. Tony, are you on board that it should have been kind of like a full worldwide kind of thing to kind of amp up the impact of Free RPG Day?
Are there countries other than the United States of America? I don't.
Oh, gee.
I don't really think about it much.
Wow.
And there goes of the victory.
Yeah, I'm going to reiterate the views of our co-hosts do not reflect that of VCG.
Yeah, no, it would make sense. We're seeing that a lot with all kinds of things across the industry of delayed releases or international, releases being staggered. And I don't work logistics. I don't make stuff and send it out to people. I just sell stuff other people have made. So I don't know what's involved in the hurdles of international shipping. So I could see there's probably a good reason for what happened. But what I would agree with is if you're going to push the entire world back July 23rd, just have North America push back too. Just have it all at the same time.
That seems like it's the better call.
So that way your day, I mean, maybe they're going for like the Netflix model or the streaming model where it's like, okay, we have some we have some publicity on social media on June 25th, and then a month later we get even more.
Yeah,
right? Good thinking.
Definitely.
Good thinking.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I feel. Well, we'll talk about this in a little bit. What things that they could do to kind of amp up the.
They should have pushed this back as well. It doesn't make sense to have it all.
Yeah.
I mean, and we get the flip side of this all the time. There's games that get released in Europe that sometimes they get it like a couple weeks early.
Yeah.
That's pretty common, and then you have all the Americans getting upset, and then the flip side's true as well. But companies should probably organize better to have these dates sync up, because one day where the whole world is talking about Free RPG Day is way more exciting than having it a month apart from each other.
David Hayes says, as someone who works in logistics, the ports are a complete nightmare. They can't get the containers cleared timely. Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising. I mean, there's a lot of Kickstarters that are just waiting to get, delivered, that are just in, on ports or in containers that are just waiting to get. So I understand, but like, if July 23rd is the day that they think that the rest of the world will be able to do it, let's just push it all back and have it be a bigger impact on one day. But
it makes it more of a community thing.
It does.
I mean, whether it's actually community or not, it makes it feel more like it's a community thing if you have it all on the same day for everybody. Because if you start separating people out, and then people start to wonder, are they getting different stuff than us? Are they getting better stuff than us?
Right.
John says, man, it feels like there are factors we don't know that we don't know. But who cares? It's free. Does it really matter? Well, it does. So here's my thing. Like,
I want to jump in here real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
It is free to the end user. It is free to no one else.
Yep.
This costs publishers money. This costs Free RPG Day money. This costs the stores money. So we need to keep that in mind as well.
When
we're talking about should things be delayed or not, and where do you get your best bang for your buck?
Yeah, I feel like a focused marketing push on a certain day is much more beneficial.
Well, especially since a lot of places participate online too.
Oh, absolutely.
There were several even people. I don't even know if it was people that were specifically participating in the day or not, but a lot of people jumped on the bandwagon at the end and were like, "Hey, for Free RPG Day, all my stuff at my itch.io store is like half price or free or whatever for a lot of the smaller publishers, just to grab some of the hype for it." So if you split it up, it makes it tougher. Like you got people who are in two different places who are like, "Well, I don't give a damn about your Free RPG Day because it's no good to me."
Yeah. Let's just go. Let's take a look at the publishing partners for Free RPG this year. Of course, we know that Wizards of the Coast does not participate in Free RPG Day anymore. They used to, from what I understand, way back when it first was a thing. It's not something that they participate in anymore. Paizo still participates in it. They gave out 2 booklets. One which is a Starfinder Skitter Warp adventure for 4 pre-generated characters. I think it was just for I think it's like for first edition characters, and then a Fistful of Flowers, which is a Pathfinder. I'm guessing second edition for third level characters.
Looks like the second edition logo.
Yeah, and the thing that I find kind of interesting with this is that they didn't stick with the goblin theme like they usually do. It seems like every year they do some sort of goblin themed adventure booklet thing, and I feel like the Pathfinder community kind of likes those, and they kind of expect those. I know that they haven't done them every single year, but it's kind of like one of those things that I think a lot of that Pathfinder community really enjoys, having these like ridiculous goblin adventures that they put out. So I'm kind of surprised that they didn't go that way this year for Pathfinder. Starfinder, they of course they just do what they do. I don't know if they have any kind of usual theme.
No rhyme or reason, just a bunch of weird things in space.
Yeah. So I guess that's good. Paizo does good stuff. Their booklets are always really decent. WizKids put in some a free paint kit, which is some sort of figure paint, 8 Vallejo paint colors, 2 brushes, and a water pot. I mean, I think they just include one of them, right?
The heck is a Harengon or a Harengon?
As I understand, this was a single SKU inclusion in the kit.
Yeah, so it's
which I have a lot to talk about in regards to that later on. Once
so one person is going to benefit from this more than likely, or maybe the store just keeps it and gives it away as a prize or something. I don't know. It's up to them. Van Butler says the best feature of the Pathfinder RPG was the ridiculous, flavorful goblins. Yeah, I feel like that's one of the big draws of Free RPG Day. Those booklets were the goblin booklets. Privateer Press included a Iron Kingdoms 5e RPG Day adventure. This is for first level
5e?
characters. Yeah, it's a 5e. It's a 5e system. I've actually got it at the house. And
I thought they had their own proprietary RPG.
They did, but they actually
did.
Yeah.
They remade it with 5e.
Oh, okay.
There was a big Kickstarter a couple months back.
Yeah, it was
maybe a year ago.
It was a while ago because I've got copies of it at the house.
I haven't followed Privateer Press in quite a while, so I'm surprised.
Yeah. Dave Hayes says, Free Mini is legit. Cost you $35 at Gen Con this year. Yeah, I mean, it is a nice kit. I'm not saying that it's not. And for $150, it's nice to get a $35, MSRP or whatever, suggested retail price or whatever they want to put it out item. But just to get one of them kind of seems. But we'll talk about that.
You can't sell the items.
Right, you can't. You're not supposed. You're just supposed to just give them away.
You only got one in the box,
and you only get one in the box.
Like one kit.
I mean, I know we're not there yet, but that's one of my big problems with the program is that there are singular items in this that you're supposed to figure out what to do with, and it's
weird.
The idea is, I guess, the store comes up with some kind of promotion for it, but it always ends up being 20 people you've never seen in your life before come storming in looking for the one thing. And it's like, well, I guess you guys have a brawl in the parking lot because I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this.
Well, we'll talk about this a little bit. With these one-off items that are kind of higher, dollar items that are...
Sorry, Doug, I wasn't given the outline for the show. So
no, that's all right. That's all right. You're good.
Tony,
I will forget half my talking points if we have to wait too long.
We're pretty freeform. We'll talk a little
outline?
bit.
What?
Frequently, we find out about the topic moments before the show ends.
I mean, this is already way more professionally operated than I was expecting. So you're getting better, Doug. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I try. So we got was it Loke mats? They provided an adventure and some mats for this adventure. Which again, this is a 5e product. And I feel like this is one of the downsides of this year's free RPG product, products, is that it feels really heavily leaned towards 5e.
Doug, do you have moderators for the chat, by the way?
Yep, I got it.
You're the moderator?
I am.
All of us in the side chat are like, hey,
hey, Doug. I didn't hear a word Doug just said because I was thinking about.
No,
I won't say it. I won't repeat it, but
So again, Goodwin Games, which again they always participate. They seem to always participate in Free RPG Day, and they put out. I mean, their products are usually really, really good for Free RPG Day.
This is also really nice to see them participating in this when they have their own
and they have their
DCC day as well, where they want people to promote the Goodman Games 5e and DCC property.
Goodman is very grassroots, so I'm not surprised that they participate in this sort of thing.
I love it, and they did a Dungeon Crawl Classics adventure, which again they have a great community of DCC players, and so
probably pretty strong too, because the book weighs about 3,500 pounds.
Right. And then they also put out this 5e product again, another 5e thing. Like that seems to be like kind of a
It's hard to
theme,
avoid the giant gorilla.
right? And I feel like Free RPG Day, while I know 5e is, and I've said this right along, I know 5e is like the most popular system. I feel like Free RPG Day is what's to kind of like celebrate the other stuff. And so kind of makes me feel a little off this year that there's so much 5e products in this kit. Q Workshop created some dice. I guess I don't know how many dice are coming there, but I'm gonna guess maybe
it's like 6 in the picture.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe I don't. Again, 6 people out of Free RPG Day are gonna get a die.
And I mean, if I'm correct on this, I think this is actually a set.
It is
the final set. Race. You need multiple dice for it. So, like, yes, there's 6 dice, but I believe it's technically like 1 item.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Q Workshop does a great job. I'm not going to say they put out great products, but again, it's like one of those one-off things.
Do they though?
I like what they do. I mean,
I looked at their dice so many times. And I'm like, wow, that looks really cool. And then I get a closer look at them, and I'm like, oh no, thank you.
Yeah. Steamforged Games. Now, this is a cool little thing, and this is one of the items that I picked up from this store when I went to Free RPG Day. They have this Epic Encounters Bridge of the Duergar Cult.
Duergar.
I don't know what it is.
Duergar.
But this is a nice little. I'm a big fan of these Epic Encounter box sets. Tony, you have these at your store, right?
Yeah. They're pretty cool.
Really nice adventure map tokens.
I like
minis.
everything but the box.
Yeah, the boxes are huge. But
well, it's not that it's huge; just I find it illegible.
Oh yeah.
But the box themselves, the stuff in it is amazing.
I think that this is a really sneaky play because not only does it promote their Epic Encounters line, and I didn't even realize this when I picked it up, but knowing now that it's a crossover with Bardsung, their board game, so you can take the minis from your board game and play this encounter with it. That's pretty clever. I'm gonna give Steamforged Games a thumbs up on that. I even though this is a 5e, kind of supplement, although it's it says 5e compatible, you can probably use it for just like a lot of these 5e things you can probably use for other systems. I'm gonna give Steamforged some bonus points for this product, just because it's free and it promotes both their lines and it does it kind of subtly, which I think is kind of neat. Let's see here. Modifius provided Homeworld Revelations as a 2D20 system. I've heard that this is coming out, but I don't know anything about it. Do you guys know what this is? What Homeworld is?
The Homeworld RPG?
Yeah.
It's based on the game, is it not? In the video game, is it not? I thought it was. That's what I know about it, honestly. I did like the game. I played it briefly. Wasn't a huge fan, but RTS-type games aren't my thing.
It's a 2D20 system, which, some of those systems I really enjoy. I really enjoyed Dune. I thought that was a really well done way of using that 2D20 system. And then some 2D20 systems, I'm just like, I don't know. I'm surprised that Modifius didn't provide. I know previous years they've provided Star Trek content, and I'm surprised that with their IPs of Dune and Star Trek, that they went with Homeworld of all products, just because
it's a new IP. That's probably why.
It is a new IP, but what's really going to draw people in? I mean, I get it. This might not be as flashy as Dune or Star Trek.
I think we're going to circle back to this as an overall theme of the kit, but there's not a uniform direction for the products that are included. It's basically the organizers of the event reach out to companies, do you want to put something in here? The companies make their own individual decision on what type of product to put into the free RPG Day kit. So like some of this stuff is for existing players, some of this stuff is for new players, some of it is promotion, some of it is rewards. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard to have a consistent theme through the entire kit, which I think leads to these decisions. Like obviously they want to promote their Homeworld Revelations game, but is that consistent with what other people are looking for out of the kit?
Yeah, I think that is definitely one thing that we'll talk a little bit about once we've gone over the what is free RPG Day supposed to be like. Let's get a clear vision of what we want free RPG Day to be, and I feel like it's kind of all over the board at this point, and that's fine, but I feel like it needs some direction. Van Butler asks, is the Homeworld thing the first product that includes starter rules? Yes, it is actually. It's the first thing that actually is a product that you can sit down and play with the rules. Dave Taylor Miniatures provided a Necropolis and more with paint a Necropolis and more with speed paints.
Terrain, cool.
Yeah, it's got a little mausoleum in there.
Yeah, and this is like 3 or 4 plastic pieces of terrain, and then 6 of those how to raise the dead, how to paint booklets.
Well, it just says each bundle contains plus a mausoleum and cemetery gates. So I think it's just one of those each, and then 6 of those booklets.
Yep.
So Army Painter has a pretty good speed painting system.
Yeah. Again, it would be nice if you have 6 of these booklets to have 6 of those mausoleums to go. And
is this an where you only got one set?
Yeah.
What would you do with this as a store if you want to have, like, if the idea behind this, like, just from this image, I assume the intention is, okay, the store has a painting session with the customers in the store, but they give you one thing to paint.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do with that?
Yeah, if it's
okay, you paint one pillar, I'll paint the next one. You get this brick. He's got that roof tile.
Just pass it around the table. You get 10 seconds to paint, then pass it to the next person.
The idea is there of like it's like they're trying to maybe imply certain activities your store can do for the free RPG Day, but then the execution is like, well, here's 6 books and a mausoleum. Figure it out.
Dave asks, so do you get all these for attending a hosting event store, or do you only get 1 or 2 items? Again,
that's up to the store.
That's up to the store. So again, it's one of those things where it kind of lacks vision as far as, okay, well, the store that I went to, we'll talk a little bit about it. We'll talk about that once we've covered all the items. But the store that I went to was different. Darrington Press put out a 1-page RPG from Grant Howitt and Marissa Ray from Critical Role. Yeah. Grant does wonderful RPG, 1-page RPGs. This is neat that they did a 1-page RPG, but I guess it's kind of it was just 1 page that was sitting on the table, so like it really wasn't all that flashy. It had black and white. I'll show you the photo when I bring it up.
This is one of those things that begs for it to be run as part of the event.
Right.
You come in, you sit down, you play an hour and a half session,
and then you give your players.
Then you get to take it home with you.
Yeah.
But like as a just an item to sit on the table, like it's not flashy, it's not attractive.
This was advertising because they did an actual play on Critical Role of this.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, just a few days ago.
Nice.
This page is 1 page sitting on your table was advertising.
Yeah.
It was just to drive people to Critical Role.
Again, Grant Howitt, great 1-page RPGs. He's got like a Patreon that he just does 1-page RPGs a month.
Yeah. Well, and he did Honey Heist, which is a massively popular game.
So it's a neat idea. I just, again, how you execute it is the other thing. Mantic provided the mausoleum and the gates for this for this kit, which we talked about in the Dave Taylor minis, which is kind of surprising because Mantic also does some RPGs now. So they've kind of dabbled in the Hellboy RPG. They've dabbled in a couple others. And
theirs the 5e one?
Yeah,
that's unfortunate.
So I'm surprised that they didn't try to like. It's probably easier for them to do minis at this point, but surprised they didn't try to.
Is it easy for anyone to do minis right now?
Well, I mean, considering the paper shortage, I'm guessing that the minis are probably a little bit easier to produce. Magpie, this is the second item that I picked up from the store that I was at. The Root Talon Hill Quick Start. This is again another just you pick it up and play it. This is the third year in a row they've done Root, which is interesting. But Root is a phenomenal game. Tony, do you still have copies of Root at your store?
Yeah.
Phenomenal game. I'm going to tell you right now, if you love PBTA games, this is, and you like Root, or you just like, cute anthropomorphic creatures.
This is good for PBTA games because one thing that PBTA games tend to lack a lot is consistent support for specific products. A lot of PBTA is like, blam, here's our new book. Off you go, bugger off. We're not doing anything else with this. Next year's a completely different thing.
I'm going to tell you right now.
Well,
go ahead.
I mean, that's kind of the framework for most PBTA games. You don't put modules out.
Yeah.
Right? But for Root, they're doing things obviously a bit differently where there are supplements because they take the PBTA framework and while it is very customizable, like the party, your players and everything, you still create things on the fly, but there's a little more guidance to it, which I think is a good move. And I'm a huge PBTA fan, but the original first time I ever read Apocalypse World, it was inscrutable to me until I played it and was like, oh, okay, this is kind of coming together.
Yeah,
sort of.
It's one of those games where you have to get into the mechanics of it and actually use them to understand them. Until then, it's like trying to read a Bible in a different language or something.
Yeah, I've met so many people who have read PBTA but never actually played it, and they just completely don't understand and don't like the system. And it's like you really have to play it.
Yeah,
it's really like if you have a good mind for improv, I think PBTA is like a really good system.
Yeah.
I mean, it's my favorite framework, like by a long shot, but I won't derail the whole show on it.
No, that's right. I'm surprised that this is the third year in a row that we've gotten a Root Quick Start, which I'm not complaining because, like I said, I really like the Root RPG.
Third year.
This is the third year.
The RPG just came out.
Yeah, I know, but this is the third year. They did 2020, 2021, and 2022. There's three of these. There's three of these quick starts that I have in my library.
Wasn't the 2021 like their pre-main launch push thing? I thought it was.
No, I don't.
2021 was basically like, hey, this is coming out very soon, and then it didn't.
Yeah.
So.
Again, it's a great booklet. I'm kind of surprised they didn't do an Avatar one, to be honest with you, because Avatar is going to be big once that hits later on this year. And
that's the thing; it hasn't hit yet.
Yeah, I know, but if you're going to hype up,
you don't need to hype Avatar. It's already hype.
Well,
based upon Kickstarter results, you don't need to hype the Avatar.
No, you don't.
You
don't. But again, if you want it to be successful in retail, more than likely, people have already gotten. The people that have played Root have already played it. Like, it's out on shelves already. Like, and I get... What's that?
No, I was going to say, Avatar is PBTA as well, right?
It is, yep.
Now, that's a game that should not be PBTA at all.
No?
I do not understand why that's PBTA. Taking an established setting and using that framework for the mechanics completely goes against, like, part of the appeal.
Okay.
For me, for PBTA, which is the group collectively creates the setting and the characters. I mean, you can still do that within the... I honestly have never seen a single episode of that show. You guys can kick me off if you want.
I haven't either.
Whatever the world's called, I mean, you can say, okay, well, you're an earthbender and you're whatever. But anyway, I don't want to derail the show more than we already have. That's a game I do not understand why they did that mechanic system.
I feel like because of the fact that they're so familiar with PBTA, they're like, hey, we can do this really well. And I'll be honest with you, I have all the PDFs for Avatar. They were very nice to send me over copies of it. It looks beautiful. I have not gotten a chance. I've had so many other games that have kind of, gotten piled up that it's kind of down on the list at this point. But I am really excited to look at it. And from what I've looked at already, it looks really, really well done.
Doug, check the chat.
Bots are back again, Doug.
Well, they are, aren't they?
They like us tonight.
They do. They do.
I mean, I could be wrong, but that's one.
I think the reason why they went with BTPTA is because they didn't want it to become a dice rolling, crunchy mechanics game. They wanted it to be about storytelling, despite the fact that there's such an easily definable level system for all of the tiers of bending. Yeah. They didn't want it to be that. So because otherwise it's going to become a numbers crunching thing. Like, I'm gonna level up until I get this power, and then I'm gonna beat everybody up.
Yeah. Renegade Game Studios provided I guess they didn't announce it in time for it to get on the website, but they provided some character folders for their Power Rangers RPG and their G.I. Joe RPG. As you can see on this table here, they were still on the table when I went in and took a look at what the store had for offerings. I feel like
it's a little weird.
Yeah, I understand what they were doing. They're trying to provide their player base something cool to kind of come in and get. But
you have to actually build a player base first.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they put out an Essence 20, just a generic quick start kit to kind of get people familiar with the system. It would be really kind of neat to have something that they could have played.
They did last year. Was they had a little quick start.
Yeah, but it didn't have any IP tied to it. It was just a generic, And I feel like they should have probably had something this year that could have tied, and maybe they couldn't because of licensing or whatever. The only people that are going to come in for those items are Power Rangers, G.I. Joe fans, and existing players of their system.
Or Doug Shoot.
I didn't even take one of those.
What?
No, I didn't.
I am shocked.
Yeah. No. Artelsorian provided Cyberpunk Red
Shocker.
Easy mode. Good. I think this is a step in the right direction that they just kind of provided a booklet that gets players up and running with their system. Awesome. Cool. I like it. Foam Brain Games, I don't know what I'm going to guess they might have provided dice.
I believe they provided a die.
A die, okay. And then Oni Press provided Rolled and Told, Volume 1 on Free RPG Day 2022. It contains all the adventures, comics, and articles from issues 0 to 6. That's really cool.
It's not bad, yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice. I don't know how many of those. I did not see those on the table when I was there at the store. But those I know are really, really super popular. And then the final item that was provided was another level 1 anthology. This is the third year that Ninth Level Games has done this. It's an indie RPG anthology. It's a little booklet, and I'll be honest with you. I actually was hoping to pick one up at the store, but they were all out of them, which was really great to see because I know that they provide quite a few of these in the kit. But it's a booklet of just like a couple page RPGs that are just kind of wacky and kind of neat. That they kind of like those one page RPG that we talked about earlier, but like a little booklet. And to be honest with you, that little booklet you could probably charge like $10 for, and it would be and it well worth the sell, price.
Yeah. If I was going to price it for retail, I would put it at $15 or $16.
Sure.
Like there's a lot of content in there, and it's not a little half page booklet that's 30, 40 pages, so it's pretty robust for a giveaway.
Yeah. So those are the items that were provided this year for Free RPG Day. I feel like there's a little bit less than the previous years, but that's just me. It did feel somewhat skewed towards 5e products, which is fine. It is what it is. I totally understand that. I would have liked to see some more quick starts and so on for the kit, but that's just that is what it is. What, Tony, with Free RPG Day, how did you approach it? Because I'll let you explain how you approach Free RPG when you did it. Ben, you feel free to approach it the way you did it. Then I'm going to tell you how this store did it, and I'll put a picture of their store up too, just so then that way we can kind of show how each store kind of does its own thing, and how I think that's maybe one of the downsides of this event for its impact.
So again, this was years ago. This was when Aldo was in charge. So I don't know how much different the rollout is this time. I want to say when I used to do it that there was a rule that we could not sell the items or use them as a sales promotion.
Okay.
Whereas this time it explicitly says on the retailer's page you can use them as a sales promotion. You can't sell them, but you can use them as part of a sales promotion.
Okay.
So what we used to do is, we had a pile of stuff on a table. I would take all of James Raggy's trash, Lamentations of the Flame Princess, and throw it right in the dumpster. And then everything else would go out on a table in the back room, and we'd advertise, come get a free RPG. We would try to get some GMs to run like Pathfinder, D&D. We had You for Kids and Bikes.
Yep.
With little to varying success on getting people to actually come in and want to like sit down and play. Like Your Kids on Bikes, I think, is the only event that fired that year, and I had 4 different systems lined up that day, and Your Kids on Bike session is the only thing that actually went. But the reason I stopped doing it was, well, one, and I'm not a prude. You guys have talked to me off the air, and you know how I am.
Sure.
And even on the air, but I tone it down a little bit. I'm not some kind of like, good Christian boy or, with a weak stomach. But every year we would get these kits and we would get those books from Lamentations. And I'd look at it and just be like, this is not something I want in my store.
Yeah.
And every year there's one guy who would come in, never comes in, never seen him. I see him once a year, and he comes in looking for the Lamentations book. And I say, if you want to go dumpster diving, it's out back. Go for it, bud. Anyway.
Yeah, no,
that could be an entire podcast on its own. Is that guy the old school guys and their edgelord attitudes towards creating content for RPGs?
For those that aren't familiar with what Tony's talking about, it was a very adult themed.
It was
usually had some sexually explicit either art or situations in it, and just not what most local game stores are looking to promote,
right.
Especially at a what back then was an entry level event to get people in and looking at different new RPGs.
That's not the first thing you want someone to see when they come in the door.
I don't want Billy going home from free RPG Day and being like, "Mom, look at all the cool stuff I got," and she pulls out the Slugs book and flips. It's still burned in my brain. Some of the art in that book. Oh my god, it's just disgusting. And again, I'm not a prude, and there's an audience for it out there. That's fine. I'm confident in saying that I don't want that audience. If that audience doesn't come to my store, I'm not losing sleep. It's fine. It's fine.
I do feel like over the last few years that they've done since it's changed hands. And I know Paul is one of the owners, and you mentioned another one, Tony, before.
Travis from
Millennium
Games.
I feel like they've done a good job of weeding out, like, and making sure that the products are more. What's the word? All ages friendly. I don't want to say all of it's all ages friendly, but some of it's definitely. It's not as offensive.
I mean, that was an annual conversation every year around Free RPG Day, where everyone was telling Aldo, like, you have got to stop sending us this stuff. Right. There were people that stopped doing Free RPG Day because that book was included every year. And he had fun with it too. I mean, I remember the last year we did it, the Lamentations book had a foreword from James Raggy, and it was just this like edgelord bragging about how we're the game that stores are too scared to carry. You know, they're afraid of how awesome and cool we are, and it's like just keep it.
Sure.
But the real reason, and that was one thing, that was one part of it where it's like I'm paying for a kit of items to distribute, and I'm throwing some of them away because I don't feel comfortable distributing them in my store. So right there, part of the value of the kit is lost. But we touched on it here a little bit. The one-offs, I don't know what to do with them, right? But the main thing is, and you can see there are people in chat as we were talking the past 45 minutes who didn't understand that this is free for the end user, but it's not free for anybody else. So if the kit, what was it this year? Do you know, Ben?
I believe it was 150 per kit. And
Okay.
Stores could order multiple kits if they wanted.
So if I'm getting one kit, that's $150. Now, from a business standpoint, that is a marketing expense.
Sure.
So you could just call it marketing. But at the end of the day, even marketing has to pay for itself. So with $150 and an average margin 45% on games, if I just median my whole store, 45% margin, that means I have to, revenue-wise, make about $330 worth of sales that were generated entirely from Free RPG Day being a thing. And year after year, I'd run these events. Our events were free back then. We didn't charge for the RPG sessions in store. But the hope is for a store, like you get more foot traffic, and foot traffic equals sales. But it doesn't always work that way.
It doesn't.
A lot of times you get people, especially when there's unique items or like there's only 6 of one, like Ben mentioned eBay. You get people who just go store hopping to scoop up all the exclusives to go scalp them online. And then, that guy's not spending money in your store. And then maybe someone who would spend money comes in and they can't find the thing they want. So it just became too much of like a hassle that wasn't translating to revenue.
Sure.
And at the end of the day, like, yeah, we do lots of things to appreciate our customers, obviously. But we got bills to pay. It's a store. And most of the things, everything we do should in some way feed the continued existence of the store, which means sales. And it just wasn't working for me. Maybe the new system is better. A lot of things have changed. The addition of being able to use items as sales promotions.
That helps, yeah.
Did have me perk up a little bit, after the fact. I didn't do it this year because I'd just been out of the loop. Maybe I'll consider bringing it back and trying it out, but it's tough. Like I said, $330 from RPG, customers coming in for like Free RPG Day. It can be done, but you have to weigh the like cost benefit.
Did you have an item limit for customers that would come in and like take items? Would you say that's? Did you say?
I want to say. I think the first year we didn't limit it at all, and you got people come in, they just grab like one of everything and take off. And then we started to limit it like 2 or 3 items, or I think the last year we did it, we had an item limit that was like 2 or 3, but if you played in a session, which again is just hang out for 3 hours, you could get an extra thing. And then for the unique items that year, I actually there were some like Bones minis and I think a dice set from Q Workshop. I gave those to a couple of my DMs that were doing our D&D nights. So it ended up being something somewhat beneficial to actually like store programs.
Sure. Ben, how about you? What did you do for when you did Free RPG at your store?
Tried to keep it as easy as possible for the person walking in off the street to figure it out, so that we didn't have to constantly stand over the table and police it. If you came in, you could grab one item for free off of our Free RPG table. If you purchased a RPG or dice product, you could take a second item. And if you spent $50 or more with us, you could take a third item.
And I feel like that's probably something that Free RPG Day should probably implement across the board. Like if you come in, here's a free item. If you want a second item, just buy something from the store. If you want a third item, hit a certain dollar amount.
I will say the majority of people would, if they really wanted that second item, would buy a $4 set of dice and grab the item.
It's still $4 that you didn't
Sure,
make previously.
Sure. It was not a sales driver by any stretch of the imagination. We also didn't put everything out on that free table. For there were some things that we held back for either rewards for some of our more loyal customers, and maybe I won't be allowed to order a kit after admitting this online next year. And there were some things that we used for actual promotional items in the store as well, to show off a kit. I believe it was 2 years ago. Yeah, I believe it was 2 years ago, the first year that it was under the Millennium Games, the Travis Severance umbrella. WizKids did a special dungeon tile that had a blood stain on it, and we worked that into our demo kit of the dungeon tile set. And eventually, we ended up giving it away, but we didn't give it away right away. We wanted to kind of utilize it as a promotion piece and as an advertising bit.
I also feel like these one-off items that are like the paint kits and the terrain, like I think if you were to have all like have multiple sessions, have a drawing of like all the players that actually sit and participate in this in your sessions, and give it to one of them. I don't know. There's just something you should be able to do with those items.
You certainly could, but that'd be up to the store to determine.
Yeah.
I don't think that's something that Free RPG Day.
You don't think Free RPG Day should?
What are they going to do? Show up and slap your hand if you don't?
No, because.
I mean, certain stores only have so much space.
I'm hesitating on whether I want to get into this or not.
That's fine.
Do it.
Different stores have different focuses on monetization.
Sure,
I'll leave it at that. So there might be stores who just give it away and hey, thanks for coming in. And there may be stores, like I'm not saying I need to squeeze a penny out of everyone who steps in the door, but stuff like this has to have a benefit, you know? If I run events for this, I have to line up DMs. I have to clear the game space for the day. So anyone else who wanted to play Warhammer or whatever, Magic, they can't play that day, you know? We have to have staff to like it all feeds into, and it has to make sense. It has to be something that makes sense. Now, I would say 60% of that operation is up to the store to work out. I'm not going to completely blame Free RPG Day for that. And in hindsight being what it is, maybe 4 years ago, I could have thought of a better way to do it. And I just wasn't in the right mode yet as a store owner. I mean, that was half my store's lifetime back. I've changed a lot of things over the years in a lot of ways I operate. But I have a question, actually. This is I get the general sense from some of the hosts as well as the chat that we hate 5e. Is that a thing?
No, I don't think it.
5e
I think
sucks and it shouldn't exist, and we hate it.
No.
Indie RPGs.
That's not true.
Because if there weren't 5e products in this lineup, the average person who plays an RPG, I'm sorry guys, they play D&D. And the cool thing about Free RPG Day, and it's really sad that WotC doesn't participate, because if WotC had a module or a character, just anything really, they could just crap out any little official D&D thing, a one-sheet character, I don't know. If WotC had a product and you got to all those D&D players, they'd be coming in, and then they could see the other stuff and go, "Oh, what's Root? What's Avatar?"
Well,
you get the exposure bleed over would be great.
I feel like that's in theory that works. Okay, so let's just say I don't automatically hate 5e. I think that there are better systems out there that I enjoy playing much more. If somebody wants to play 5e and there's a group that wants to play 5e, I will sit down and I will play 5e because I want to be part of that experience and I want to have a group, role playing session. But is it my go-to system? No, it's not. Does 5e need its own event to promote its system? It does not. And that's why Wizards of the Coast does not participate. They don't see any value in promoting their D&D product with this package and with this day. So if they don't see value in it, why should these other folks that are putting out 5e products, why don't we just make it a free indie RPG day and have it be other products beside or other like free products
Well, it is.
that are not 5e.
A 5e OGL game made by a small publisher is still an indie RPG, Doug. It's just a game. It's a set of game mechanics.
It is.
That's all it is.
And I totally understand. Like, and I'm not saying that it shouldn't. Because, like I said, Epic Encounters, they're great, and it's a 5e compatible product. It's really, really great, but like, I would love to see this product support another RPG system besides 5e for free RPG day.
The way that happens is if people write the companies and tell them that. Because right now 5e is what sells.
Oh, 5e is definitely the moneymaker.
5e and they go, hey, we made money.
But how do we change that with this industry? We change that with days like Free RPG Day, where we give.
Do we?
I don't think.
I feel like that is what we should do with Free RPG Day, and provide people a taste of other RPGs like Root, where you can just sit down and play this really cool game, and not have to go, oh, you know what? I want to go buy that, and I've never played that, and I'm going to go introduce my friends to this game.
I think what that comes back to is, again, we, even as a panel who are immersed in roleplay games, we don't know what Free RPG Day is supposed to be.
Right.
Right. So how are all these companies supposed to interact with it? And at the end of the day, they go, well, I want to get the best bang for my buck. So they go with 5e because that's what the people are coming out for.
Yeah.
If I would like to see something like Goodman Games. Goodman Games does Free RPG Day correct. They've got their 5e product that everyone will pick up if they're
they do
looking
that
for 5e, and then they've got their DCC class, as well.
Yep.
And if people go, wow, I really like that 5e thing, and then they start looking at it, and then they find the other thing, and there are two different products in there from the company that doesn't necessarily do 100% 5e. It's a fantastic example of what could be, but isn't due to various other.
I'll give you credit for that. I can agree with that for sure.
I get a gold star, yay!
Yeah. Bonus points for you. Ben gets 1,000 points for that comment.
Write it down, chat. Write it down.
5e is like the movie that you go to see, and the other games are the trailers you see before the movie that are trying to like, wow, oh, look at this, is a cool thing. So after the movie, once you're out talking about the movie, say, hey, remember that trailer we saw? And then you maybe go look it up. Right. And then maybe you say, no, that's not for me. You know.
David Hayes says, are you trying to broaden existing player RPG pool, or are you trying to generate new traffic altogether?
I don't think Free RPG Day is about new traffic.
No.
As a retailer, sorry, Tony. I'll
no, go ahead.
The people who weren't RPGers, who discovered the Free RPG Day stuff, discovered the Free RPG stuff that didn't get picked up the day of Free RPG Day. They came in the later weeks and grabbed whatever was left over and said, "Oh, that looks kind of neat. I like the art." That's what they grabbed as new role players. Free RPG Day is absolutely only going to draw in existing role players unless there's fundamental changes to its advertising.
Sorry, I don't want to put David on blast here, but man, this tiny little game called Dungeons and Dragons was just kind of like on the sidelines of the gaming industry, just struggling along for 45 years, and finally the Duffer Brothers brought them into the limelight.
Thank God.
They finally got their day in the sun after 45 years.
Sorry,
David. No offense. I just thought it was funny.
It is one of those things that, like, I think it's, people do say, Stranger Things. I do think it did help bring, D&D.
Of course it did.
Popularity. Anytime a strong pop culture TV show brings anything to light. I think it doesn't. It just amplifies it. Not that you're totally right, Tony, in the fact that so you get 500 points for that. D&D was totally popular before Stranger Things, but I definitely think that with Stranger Things, it brought it to another level.
It dropped it in the entire world's lap and said, "Hey, this is a thing."
And Critical Role did as well. Yes, absolutely.
So, back to your point of Free RPG Day's identity. I think you have a very fair point there with like the mix of products. They really need to lean on these publishers next time and say like they need to pick what the identity of the event is. If the point is to show off your game to a new audience, then it should be entirely entry level products. It should be quick start, quick adventure, like something to show off what you're doing. And that's what most publishers do. Like looking at the list we saw earlier, like that is most of what it is. It's like little quick starts and introductory adventures and stuff. But there's also this just random smattering of like Q workshops, like, here's some dice. I don't know. Here's a miniature. Why not? Like, why does that stuff need to be there? It doesn't really feed the event in the.
They didn't really have anything else to throw in there, so they were just like, here, random crap just to get our name in it.
Yeah.
Right.
So let me tell you what Carolina Tabletop Games did, because that was the store that I got to frequent to check out. I'm gonna put an image of their store on the front there. Carolina Tabletop Games was the store that was local to this area. It was about 20 minutes away from where I'm staying right now. They don't have any rules for Free Tabletop Day. They are Free RPG Day. They put everything out on the table and just let everybody just take whatever they want. And as you can see, most of it was picked over by the time. I mean, that was like, 11:30, and they've been open, an hour and a half at that point?
That's about
and
half of what's in the kit remaining there.
Yeah, but, I mean, there's no level 1 anthology. There's no one-off items at all, which is fine. I did go in and pick up a few games because I hate going in. I hate being that guy that just goes into a store and just says, hey, what do you got for free, and then leaves. Plus, I wanted to take a look at their store and kind of take a look at it and see how they run. Because I compare it to what Ben does and what Tony does at Black Moon Games. And I feel like both of those stores are really, really well done. And, I like to kind of compare, when I go to a different area. I will say their store was very, very busy for Free RPG Day. And it wasn't necessarily because of the event. There were folks that were there for Free RPG Day, but there were also folks just coming in and going, picking up games, picking up magic packs. There's a Warhammer event going on in the back room. I got to speak with the manager there, and his name was Ricky. Very, very nice guy. And I kind of, once the Hugh had a moment break from bringing up the sales on the register, I kind of pulled him aside and I was like, hey, introduce myself. I don't know who I was. And I said, hey, can I talk to you about Free RPG Day, and how do you feel about it, and what do you do for it? And he's like, well, we just, we don't do much for it because we basically use it as just, as a thank you to our RPG community, the people that come in and buy RPGs from us throughout the year. We don't really advertise it. We have, a few people that come in and run games maybe today, and they might fire, they might not, but it's more of us saying thank you for supporting us. And occasionally you get somebody like he says, and occasionally you get somebody like yourself that looks it up on the website, and you get to meet new people because they see your store on the website. So that's a nice perk, but that's not kind of why we do it. And I said, that's kind of a neat way. I said, do you see any bump in RPG sales for the day? And he says, we sell so many RPG books, throughout, pretty much every day that we don't really see a huge increase in our sales, just because it's a large percentage of our daily sales as it is. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting to know. So they must have. While I was there, they did quite a bit of business, and it was really nice to see, a store that was very, very, it was probably, Tony, it was about the size of your store minus the game area in that hallway in the back. So how like your store goes you go from the front of the store and it goes all the way to the back.
Yeah.
and it's like the length,
Like
of
most
that length
rooms
way,
do.
and then
Yeah.
it kind of cuts off, and then Tony's kind of cuts off into the
Yeah,
back,
and then I have like walls, right?
Yeah.
And there's like these
Walls?
lights on the ceiling.
What?
Right.
Do you have a floor? Is there a floor?
Yeah,
Oh my
there's a
God.
floor too. Do they have a floor? Doug?
Whatever.
So you're saying this amazing super pack store was the size of my sales floor?
It was about the size of your sales floor. Yep.
How many people were in there?
I would say there was probably at least a dozen people playing Warhammer.
Where would they be playing?
They played in the
My
back.
sales floor. I hate. We are so cramped. I can't fit anything
It
else.
was
on
a
my
very
sales
small
floor.
sales floor, and he even said that they have to stock it almost every day, like just
Yeah.
to keep the shelves full. Yeah, it really wasn't all that big, but like you had to kind of wait for people to move in order to go around and look at other shelves and everything, which was really neat to see. It was like, and the really great thing was you got to see a lot of families in there. You got to see, like all sorts of ages of gamers in there, and it was really, really great. And I hats off to them. But I don't know. Supposedly it was kind of a slow Saturday for them normally, and I think that downtown area is busy anyway. David says that's my local store. Is it really?
Cool.
Nice.
David, that's cool. That's cool.
Oh, busted! You're in trouble now, Doug.
It's a nice store. I'm not gonna say it is a nice store. The other thing that they do is they have a liquor license, so they don't run sanctioned magic events. But he says they do magic events like all the time, and they usually they're evening events. So instead of like going to the bar or something, you just go over and play magic and get some beers on tap, and of course you have to be over 21 and all that. But yeah, it was interesting. It's a great store, nice area. Looks like it was a great community of gamers too. Much like Black Moon Games.
What?
Gotta get that sponsor plug in there.
Get the sponsor plug.
I'm going to tell you, if you would like to support Tony and all the wonderful things that he does and his amazing community at Black Moon Games in Lebanon, New Hampshire, go to shop-black-moon.com.
Yeah, I was gonna wait till after the show to ask why the opening sponsor clip didn't play, but I didn't know if you.
We're gonna play that at the end, Tony.
It's at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, you're mixing it up. Okay.
David says yes, it is. Awesome.
Well,
That's a
David,
great
make sure you let him know that all the weird looks Doug gave while he was telling that story about your local store, and
it's a great store. I'm not gonna say it was really very nice.
Sounds very nice.
They were very personable, and everybody that I would love to go back. I'll probably go back just because it was a good experience. Sometimes you go into a game store and you kind of like, oh, they're not all that friendly, or sometimes, and you just like you have a certain vibe that's going on. This one was very warming, very welcoming and warm. So
And then every time you go back to that town that game store's in, you just avoid it entirely, right, Ben?
Yep.
Yeah. Right, Doug?
That's why Doug never comes into my
right?
store anymore. Because of the vibe I put out there.
That's what it is. It's that creepy vibe that I just like. Nah, I don't know if I want to.
So many times Doug's like posting where he is in our side chat during the week, and Ben's like, "Oh, so you were over by me." And Doug's like, "Oh yeah, I was super busy though."
you were eating lunch 500 feet up the road.
It's a little bit difficult when I have family my family with me because
I like
really
your
like
family. They're nice. They can come visit.
Yeah, well, they don't always like to go to games.
Oh, they don't like me. I see.
That's exactly what I took away from that, Ben.
That's what he said.
So
somebody clip that on Twitch.
Randomly, I decided to pull up our store's sales figures at quarterstaff, comparing 2021 Free RPG Day with what our regular Saturday was this past weekend for what would have been Free RPG Day 2022. And we actually sold way more roleplay games this year, not doing Free RPG Day, than we did in 2021. Now, that said, our dice sales were down considerably. So,
okay. Interesting.
So those supplementary purchases to get product
Did you have
people are picking up dice to do that.
Did you have $325 worth of dice sales last year?
Last year I had. Hold on, I'll tell you. Dice were $395.
Hey, you
in
made it.
Nice.
You
Nice.
paid
So
the kit. There you go.
We got there.
So great, Tony. I hope you do. I hope you do free RPG Day again, and I hope Ben. I hope you do too.
So can I
We'll see.
say two things that I would love to see free RPG do?
Sure.
Do
And if anybody's watching this after the fact, and you have suggestions on what free RPG Day should do to kind of give it more of a vision, let us know in the comments, and I'll be glad to reply back to them when you leave them. But yeah, go ahead. What are your two comments there, Ben?
So what I would like to see free RPG Day do to really kind of boost itself and solidify itself is I want the organization to take direction and give that to potential participants, potential publishers that want to get into it. Ninth Level with their anthology did this year. They put the call out. They said, "Hey, if you want your indie RPG to be featured in our anthology, we would love to see it, but we want it to match a mythical theme." They wanted it to have a certain theme built into it. So there's a very narrative connection between all of those indie RPGs in their anthology. I would like to see that expanded by Free RPG Day to do that with other publishers. Say like, hey, we want to talk about heroic moments, and so make sure your product features a heroic moment or something like that. And what I would like to see is the abandonment of this one-size-fits-all kit. Work with your partners, find out what they're bringing in, and then let us as stores order what we need. If we want to run a paint day, let us buy 20 of those WizKids paint kits. Maybe we don't care about the Root RPG. It doesn't sell for us, which, I mean, it does for me. But say it doesn't at a store. Maybe we can opt not to get a pack of those and instead supplement it with something else. If there was a way to kind of customize these kits to a store, I think it would be a lot more impactful. And I know that's a ton of work for Free RPG Day. But I would like to see them put in that work. If they're dedicated to making this an event that is celebrated around the world, I think they need to take it beyond just this, here, buy a kit. There you go. You got it. Figure it out.
So I'm going to expand on this a little bit more. I do think it's important that Free RPG Day, the staff kind of focuses their vision and adjust a few things to help the stores. I do feel that maybe some of the publishers, some of these bigger publishers, need to step up and maybe either promote it more on social media. I didn't see any of the publishers promote Free RPG Day on other than Ninth Level. I saw Ninth Level. I feel like they should push that out on the day that the Free RPG is going on, or the days leading up to Free RPG Day. I would love to see some of these publishers do dedicated streams of the content that they provide in the Free RPG Day. Do an actual play of the Root RPG that's in there, or Steamforged Games streams an Epic Encounters session, just to kind of give it more of a hoopla and more of a presence online, because it felt like there was very little chatter and very little from anybody. And I feel like if you're an RPG publisher in this, you kind of have to take it on yourself and push it even higher. Because I feel like maybe the Free RPG people, and while they're doing a great job, there's only so many of them that can do it. So maybe we need to make this, as a whole industry, push it up a little bit higher and give them a little bit more of assist. The other thing that I'm going to say, and this goes to people that go in for Free RPG Day, to stores, don't be the people that go in and just look for free stuff and then leave. I've said this before, I'll say it again. If you're going into a store for Free RPG Day, whatever you do, even if you just take one item, try to find something that you can afford to buy. Whether it's a dice set, whether it's something small, doesn't matter. Support your friendly local game stores, because as we said, these kits cost them money. And yeah, I don't expect everybody to drop $50 or $30 or $20. Just drop something. You know? Give the store owners like Tony and Ben that put time and effort and dollars into this event and want to support their communities, just show them a little bit of love in return. That's all. I don't think that's too much to ask. You know? Even if it's just buying a soda. Because Tony sells soda at his store. Buy a soda. I don't know. I think if we're looking for the Free RPG Day staff to promote this and to put this out, and the publishers to provide content and to kind of raise it up, and for store owners to promote it and to put it on and to pay for it, we as the community should also do our part. That's all I gotta say. I don't know. Maybe I'm totally off the mark there.
I think what they need to do is give, I don't know what kind of lead time they have for the companies to provide things, but I think they need to do more than just say, hey, Free RPG Day is coming up in 3 months, and we just want to know if you're interested in providing something for it. Like you guys were saying, like, they give them a theme, like give a generic vague theme, like heroic encounters or something like that.
I totally agree with that.
Let them provide something thematic to that, or if they don't have an idea, have your own people go in and say, okay, you do terrain. Well, give us a heroic setting or a scene piece or something like that. Yep. Or if you have an RPG, like, give us your gladiatorial arena or whatever. Put that in a free supplement or whatever. That's where the folks at Free RPG Day really need to communicate with the companies beyond just saying, hey, give us some stuff so we can stuff it in a box.
Sure. So more collaboration would definitely help.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be a team of 25 people at every RPG company, because most of these RPG companies only have 2 people if they're lucky.
Right.
Like, just give them enough lead time to actually come up with something. Like, if you want to feature something in your setting comparable to the theme, then you got time to do that. And make it something more like that way a store can actually work with that. Whether it's demos of just like a single quick encounter like they do at GW stores, where it's like, here's our pre-made battle 500-point armies, you give us 25 minutes and we'll show you how to play, kind of thing. That's what it needs more of.
Yep. All right. Tony, you actually showed your face on this session. You get 20,000 points for this episode. You won this episode, so you get the closing remarks before to end the session. So that's what you win for being the high scorer of this session. What would you like to end this Free RPG episode discussing? What are your closing remarks?
How much time? How much time do we have?
I mean, you got 5 minutes. 5 minutes is what you win. Here, I'm going to give you your own solo
the center
layout.
screen,
Here you go, right there.
God, that's a lot of pressure. As someone who hasn't run it for RPG Day in 4 years, I would be willing to give it a shot again. Obviously, some of the things we discussed are an option, but at the end of the day, it is a program where every store has to decide what it does for them, right? And I think there is value in it, and maybe I'll give it a shot next year and see what happens. But I mean, it is good to keep an open mind. That's something that every year is different as you own a game store. And so while for the past several years I've been like, no, Free RPG Day, not for me. Maybe I'll give it a shot. I think this was a productive discussion. But I want everyone out there to know that 5th edition D&D is probably the greatest game that's ever been created by anyone in history. Chess is garbage. Go, overrated. Am I muted? Did you mute me, Doug?
No, he hasn't, because he's not looking. He's got his head in his hand.
Okay. And you should all buy it and play it because it is the best. Not really, but it's fine. It is what it is. I just off screen here is I forgot the guy's name. I lost it. Never mind. Mike Merles. Yeah, Mike Merles just off screen here with a shotgun, and I have to say this. Please call him. Please tell my parents I love them.
I will say that thanks to 5e, the indie RPG market would not be where it is today. So as much as we love to kind of just say, oh my god, another 5e product or whatever, there is a lot of reason why it is the leading RPG system, and it's been able to elevate a lot of other RPGs in the industry. So don't think that we're just automatically bashing on 5e. So even though
everybody picks fights with the biggest guy in the room, it's just how it works.
Tony seems to love it.
Here's the thing. Everybody starts on Coke, but eventually you try RC Cola and you're like, you know what? This stuff's better. It's better.
Sure,
now I'm an RC Cola fan. So
all right.
Oh, the difference between 5e and Lamentations of the Flame Princess, that's a tough call.
Yeah, I think that's like a post-credit.
How flammable is one versus the other? Yeah. Things Tony probably knows.
All right, that's gonna do it for this section. We're actually 20 minutes over, which I try to keep.
Not
these
my fault.
episodes. I know we haven't.
I remember you told me yesterday. You're like, oh yeah, the show. We keep it to an hour now.
We try.
I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, it's 9:45, and we're still going over each thing in the free RPG bundle. When are we gonna talk about it?
Whatever.
I knew this was gonna go over, Doug. Plus, you invited me.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
That's true.
I don't know what you expected.
If you enjoyed this discussion, please hit that like button down below. Let us know what your favorite Free RPG Day product was, and let us know what you would how you would change Free RPG Day as far as how it takes place. I want to thank my co-hosts for joining us. Thank you to Ben, Jason, and Tony. Again, make sure to always shop at shop-black-moon.com, and Tony has a great store there in Lebanon, New Hampshire. All right, that is going to do it. Let's roll that.
We'll screw that up.
I'm not going to.
Sponsors watching.
This video is brought to you by Black Moon Games. Check out their products at shop-black-moon.com.
Thanks so much for watching this video. If you would be so kind, make sure you hit that like, comment, and subscribe, all the YouTube jazz that we're supposed to do here. It really is greatly appreciated. And if you'd like to support us more, you can check us out on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/VictoryConditionGaming. We have all sorts of Patreon perks, and it definitely helps support our show. Thank you so much.
Okay. Van beat me to the joke I was formulating while that was running. So I'm going to dial back my analogy. Because Jason mentioned you like root beer, right? So D&D is like A&W, right? We all grow up, oh, root beer. Yeah, A&W root beer, classic. You put the vanilla ice cream in it, get the floats, awesome. And then one day someone brings Moxie in, and you're like, I don't want to meet the people that drink this. It's going straight in the dumpster.
What?
I've never heard of this, so I don't know what it is.
My kid loves
Moxie?
Jason.
Okay, Jason, you need to come to...
Very strange people who I honestly question, like, if they have different genetics in their taste buds than me, will tell you that Moxie is amazing. But it's like root beer. You're drinking it, and you're like, oh, yeah, this is good. It's root beer. And then as soon as, like, the liquid goes down and the aftertaste creeps up your throat, it's like you just swallowed a bunch of brake fluid. I don't understand the appeal. Ben, I know you're from Maine. I'm glad you like it. It's not for me.
Oh, Ben, do you like this?
I like one every 4 years.
Oh, okay. What flavor is it supposed to be? Is it supposed to be a cola?
It's unique. It's a unique blend of herbs and spices. No, it's like a root beer-esque thing. Some snake oil salesman back in the 1800s invented it up in Maine as like a cure-all tonic, and then people kept
One of those things.
buying it. It's like,
Yeah.
I guess none of you guys are you guys familiar with Malort? Any Chicago fans out there, Doug? Anyone from
Never heard of
Chicago?
it.
No.
I view Moxie as similar to Malort. Malort is this horrifying bitter liqueur from Chicago that's made with like, I don't know, wormwood and stuff. It's horrifying. But there's people there who drink it as like, it's almost like a challenge drink. It's like a regional thing. It's like a test of fortitude to drink this stuff.
We have Screech in Canada that does that. That's what.
That's kind of how I view Moxie. Where like I come out here and people are like, oh, you're from Nebraska, huh? You got to try Moxie. And it's like you try it and you're like, this is a trick. I've been pranked. And then everyone gaslights you for the rest of your life in New England, saying like, no, Tony, Moxie's amazing. What are you talking about? Get out of here. It's a conspiracy, a widespread delusion that everyone in New England has that this is a drink that is worth purchasing and drinking, and I don't get it. Yeah, Malort, Van, check it out. It's really something. It's really something. Actually, it's probably unfair to compare Moxie to Malort because Malort is like hard to imagine. It's like FDA approved for human consumption. It's so gross. But Chicago, they love it. They love it up there.
Okay, I gotta get a bottle of this. This will be fun.
Jeppson's Malort. JEPPSON MALORT. Malort.
Malort.
It sounds terrifying, much less probably tastes terrifying.
It's something. I mean, it's meant to be like a mixer too, and I don't know what you would put in it. What you would put with it. You have bitters. You can make drinks out of bitters and stuff like that. This is like bitters on super speed. It's my next con. I think I'm doing GraniteCon, right?
I mean, we're all going to Granite. Well, except for maybe Jason. Jason's not.
I think I paid Scott for
not
GraniteCon. I should look that up. I think we're in.
If you'd like to come to GraniteCon in Manchester, New Hampshire, check out granitecon.com. All of us are going to be there. Well, most of us are going to be there, except maybe Jason.
If I show up there, you should be worried.
David nailed it. It's Walmart brand absinthe. That is a very good comparison. Yep. Yeah. We got
some great guests coming for GraniteCon. For great gaming guests. Not only do we have great pop culture guests, but we got great gaming guests as well. We got some great publishers and RPG designers, and you're gonna have. If you love playing RPG games, it's gonna be an event to be at this year. Which you can check out GraniteCon.com. I think we got some announcements coming up. So very excited about that. Van wants to know. Let's see here. I thought Van had a question here. Maybe it's the Moxie in Nebraska. Moxie does. You do not. You did not.
No, we do not. Yeah. So that's. I literally was going like as the credits were rolling. I was like, I saw Jason's comment about root beer, and I'm like, oh, I could have made the same joke about Moxie, and then Van said that, and that triggered. No, we do not have Moxie in Nebraska. We mostly just drink like, Heileman's Old Style and ranch dressing. That's usually what we go for. So.
Yikes. Yikes. David says good night. Good night, David. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for letting me invade your store over the weekend. It was a nice experience. Thank you to Van for being a part of tonight. To Rodrigo, as always. Let's go right through the chat and say, Patty, thank you so much. I'm not gonna acknowledge the bots that were in the chat. I think that's.
They did pad the viewer count, but
oh my word, they were all over tonight. Jody, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Let's go right through. Hungry Ewok, Austin, Southern Skies, AU, thank you so much for joining us on Twitch. Anybody that joined us on all the platforms, thank you so much. Nervy says the biggest problem with Free RPG Day is figuring out when it is. Yeah, it just doesn't seem to have very much like.
Not the best advertising in the world.
Yeah, So
A lot of people that once we started talking about it, people were like,
July
"What? That's
23rd
on?"
worldwide.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
Not North America, which already happened.
That's another thing where I think that all these individual publishers, maybe since their reach is maybe a little bit bigger than Free RPG Day at this point, they kind of
Well,
bump it up.
on the note of like what the publishers could do to help out and make this better, I'm not the only one doing a cost benefit analysis, and that kind of goes back to like the core of the program.
No, that's true.
You know,
Yep.
they have to determine what makes sense for them to contribute, and
Sure.
the game it could be a much better system, but it's not horrifying. It's not terrible. It just
Could be better.
it's lacking. It just needs a little more oomph to really come up.
If we all did a little bit more, maybe that's what's going to put it over the edge.
I'm good. I'll let someone else do it, and then I'll buy it if I have to.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll see
Just
you
like
all.
a 5e supplement.
See you all. If you're in the States, happy 4th of July. We will not be doing a Monday night show because it is the holiday, and we will
Fine.
be.
What am I supposed to do?
Well, you can celebrate
Yeah,
4th
why
of July
are
as
you
well.
discriminating against Canadians?
So,
What are you doing on Monday, Doug?
on Monday,
Yeah.
He's American, so probably blowing something up.
So why do we need who cares? Let's just do it.
Tony's in. Let's do
Have
it.
me back on. Come on.
it's
The people can't get enough of me.
This is true. This is true.
You've seen the chat tonight. They love me.
Hey, we all love you, Tony.
Well, you don't have to lie to the people, Doug. No.
Thank you, everyone, for joining
Next
us.
Monday, we'll see you then.
See y'all later. We'll see you soon.
In 7 days.
Probably with some more information about some changes coming up.